Now, is this live?
Yeah. Hi everybody. I know it's a little late, but I had fun with P.C. showing him my talent playing along. So my name's Gary, being patiently. I have one viewer, Gary.
Hey Gary, how are you?
So I forgot to reorientate this live stream so we're going vertical instead of horizontal. Sorry guys, but here we go. Here's the intro though. I'm here for College of Music in Boston, Massachusetts. I drove here all the way from New Jersey. And I survived it. I'm here with Prince Charles Alexander. Because you know him, we saw him recently with a gang of other thugs. Not really. But you know him, he's a professor at the Department of Music Production and Engineering here at Berklee. And he's also got plenty of accolades to talk about. He's got 3 Grammy Awards, 7 nominations, over 4 platinum and gold certificates from the RIAA, Recording Industry Association of America. That's our PC. So, Music and Chat hosted P.C.A. and several other music veterans recently over discourse on the national nervous system. You probably remember that. But today we have him alone at his local haunt, his school of teaching, and we are very pleased to have a guided tour of PC, the man himself. We call him PC, but we're friends. You have to call him Prince Charles Alexander. Okay, Gary, just let me know if the audio is A-okay and the video is good too.
In most cases, these were projects that he originally did.
Thanks.
Recorded
So
and mixed.
I'm gonna flip the camera around. Here we go. And you will see this is the Shames family scoring stage.
So very interesting.
And
We also call it Studio One. It's the largest studio, and if you look, they're actually having a seminar in there with Bob Clearmountain, and there are about 40 students that are listening to the seminar right now. So he's in the live room. The control room has a Neve console in it, an 88RS, and I think it's 48 input 88RS. So this is our primary scoring room. Hey, how's it going? Where we'll have our studio sessions with orchestras, you know, the full orchestra, violins, basses, cellos, horns, with a conductor in the back end of the room, and the orchestra spread around the room like that. So I think it can hold about 40 instrumentalists.
thanks, BC. So, what our viewers might not know of your charmed life is that you used to be songwriter, producer, and lead singer
Yes.
of an 80s folk band, Prince Charles and the City Beat Band.
Yeah.
Do you look back on this period fondly?
I have a love quirk relationship, not a love hate, a love quirk relationship with it. And my partner just passed away 2 days ago. The person that I built that with. So that brought back a lot of memories. And because of that, I would say that it's more fun than quirky.
Floor is fairly analog,
So,
and
as
so
I
you'll
said
see that the central machine room is pretty sparse, but the entire design is machine rooms on the outside to hold all of your hot and noisy bits, so to keep those out of the rooms. And then it also allows for sort of hub
So
and
my first
spoke, so
question for
the 2
PC
floors
as
can
we
be
take a
tied
walk
together,
around
the
is
rooms can be
we're
tied
surrounded
together.
by brand new shiny
That
technology.
on occasion for joint sort of
Technologies,
larger
and they're constantly
sessions,
evolving.
particularly orchestral things.
There's always something new to teach and new to
Via
learn.
Dante. There is a mastering room
What
that's
is the
sort of
one
on
key
separate
thing you
network.
want
It's
the
Ravenna
students
based.
to walk away with
But
at the end of
you'll
the
see the
program?
downstairs where it's more digital.
Adaptability and just coming to terms with the fact that the evolving technologies is a normal thing. Whatever you like now, you might have to reshape your frame of reference in 5 years or 10 years. And that's not a bad thing to do. Matter of fact, it's probably a healthy thing to do. And that's what I try to infuse into my students. Whatever I'm teaching you right now, you'll have to learn something else. And guess what? There's nothing that I'm teaching you that existed. Well, some things, but most of the technology didn't even exist when I first started working with music and working with music production. I've been able to stay current and relevant because of my relationship with the evolving nature of our technologies, and I think it's the best thing that you can do if you study music production.
Excellent answer, P.C.A. Question number 2. Isn't it wonderful that we can do everything in the box? What DAW do you use and teach, and what is your favorite plugin or process? Both in music production and creating a record?
Wow, I love working in the box also, and I'm gonna let this tour go by. This is the chair of MP&E. Hey, we're on a live stream.
Oh,
Dan,
okay.
how are you?
How are you doing,
This is
Prince
the
Charles?
chair of my department, MP&E.
Nice to see you.
And this is Berklee on site?
Yes, Berklee on site.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Prince Charles Alexander. I teach a few things at Berklee Online, so welcome to Berklee. I've got a couple of classes tomorrow, I think, all day long in Shames, and also in 1142E, something like that.
Okay.
So if you're interested, come on by and welcome. Enjoy the day.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Take care.
Thanks, Prince Charles.
All right. Great seeing you guys.
Hi.
Yeah, how's it going? Great seeing you.
Love your vocal production.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Just did it this year.
Excellent.
But I caught one of your things last year on site. So.
Right, because you do look familiar.
Yeah. Like the
Excellent.
same haircut. Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool. Nice to meet you.
Enjoy the tour.
Nice to see smiling faces.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. So you asked me a question and I was getting ready to answer it. What was the question?
The DAW you use and that you teach, and
So-
if you had a favorite plugin or
Wow.
process that you
Yeah.
use.
Okay, good. So my favorite DAW is Pro Tools because I'm a producer, but I'm also an audio engineer. And there's a bit more precision with Pro Tools. Plus, it integrated with the console so well because it was one of the first DAWs that tried to seek that DAW compatibility. I also use Logic because Logic is the first sequencer that I used, and it was when it was Creator Notator. So I've been using them in conjunction with each other for maybe 3 decades. Let me see, somewhere around 90 is when I got Logic Creator. And then Pro Tools comes in 97 and really becomes you have to know it in the studio by 2001. So since 2001, that's 24 years, but longer than that, I've been working with Creator Notator and Logic. Thirdly, because so many of my students are coming to me with Ableton, I had to learn Ableton in order to be able to speak to them and then show them where the transitions are, the compatibilities and the incompatibilities between Ableton, Logic, and Pro Tools. So I feel like I am multilingual with my DAWs. My favorite process is something that a lot of people don't. I think that many people might not even understand why it's so valuable, but it's tempo mapping. So, you can pull a piece of audio into a device and it can automatically give you the tempo because it's looking at the transient energy and making assumptions about what's a kick and what's a snare and saying, oh, so this is probably this tempo. But I work with compositions that go from 4/4 to 5/4 to 13/4, back to 2/4 to 4/4. And the tempos fluctuate from, the beginning of the song will be like 129, the end of the song will be 137 because I'm looking at a lot of archival songs also. So the ability to actually tempo map, to map the recorded audio in Pro Tools, in Logic, and in Ableton is something that I love that idea because now I can move things around without having to only look at the transients. I actually know where the bars are. Plus, I'm a musician, and it's like a living score. So let's start from bar 33. Let's start from bar 62. So tempo mapping is one of my favorite processes.
Thanks, PC. On to question 3. Someone told me I'm speaking a little softly. I was trying to be respectful of the people here.
Yeah, we can speak louder now.
So here's my third question. Numerous music production apps exist online for the entry-level enthusiasts to create songs with minimal musical knowledge. These apps simplify the processes of songwriting, even encouraging collaboration. What are your thoughts on the democratization? That
democratization.
mouthful of a word.
Yeah.
Of music creation, when anyone can create a song that is release quality. That's basically it. It's release quality. You know, in the past we'd say, yeah, you know, that's what sequencing is all about.
Yeah.
But now you can, I don't like to use this word literally, but I'm going to use it anyway. You can literally create a release quality song with a free app online and collaborate with other people, and you don't really need training.
So, I'm a moving target on this one because intellectually, I know that the democratization of music won't eliminate musicians. It will just create a wider arc of what we would consider music. So intellectually, I can understand that. Emotionally, because I'm a musician and I spent a lot of time to learn instruments, I do have a subjective connection to being able to play an instrument. As a sociologist and somebody that studies the evolution of our technologies and the evolution of our humanity, I can't honestly say it's a bad thing. What I can say is that the level where we meet the audiences needs to be understood by the musician. If the democratic music creator who knows nothing about music can make a connection to an audience, and the musician doesn't understand how to also make that connection, then the musician is creating a difficult situation for themselves. They're actually making their own life harder. So think about it. How many billionaire musicians do we have, and how many billionaire hip hop guys do we have? You know, Jay-Z's a billionaire, Diddy was a billionaire, Dr. Dre was close to being a billionaire. I can't even name the number of billionaire musicians, and the ones that I can name are in their 70s, Paul McCartney and Sting. So, is this about money, or is it about creativity? In some ways, how can you be creative if you're a professional without generating revenue? And if generating revenue shifts from here to there, then do we have a responsibility to shift to go to that place? So from that point of view, as much as it feels creepy, I do want to participate and be involved in understanding the processes of people that are coming along with new ways to create.
Thanks, P.C. That was a great answer.
Thank you.
So, speaking of technology again, of course it's all about technology. Reflecting on tech changes that have taken place in our industry, what, in your opinion, has made the biggest difference? This can be a method or musical style born from the technology. From your perspective, of course.
That's a good one.
Thanks.
If you think about the way that Bad Bunny and Drake flow over a composition, they're using auto-tune, but it's not just auto-tune, it's also a sensibility that comes from hip-hop cadence, like everyone to give it up, this kind of quarter note, eighth note, 16th note repetitive phraseology, which is different when you think about Frank Sinatra, or you think about Doris Day, or even Aretha Franklin, and so forth and so on. So there's kind of in response to the democratization of music, there's also a simplicity of things like syncopation. And when I listen to a Bad Bunny record, it's compelling to me. And I also think it's not an easy thing, and especially you can find out if something's easy if you try to do it yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you try to rap, try to remember the rap. It's actually difficult. And then, so what they're doing is kind of like singing, rapping, and then Bad Bunny and Drake are somewhere in between, and they've created this elegant fusion of the voice that's actually doing melodic phrasing with a rhythm that's very punctuated like hip hop. And I like listening to it. It's really, really interesting and fascinating to me, so much so that when I produce, when I have artists that are able to do something like that, I do try to explore it with them.
So you're referencing pitch correction now, still?
Oh, yeah, pitch
Okay.
correction is everywhere.
Okay.
I don't, even when I'm doing jazz records, I've always got, do you want me to tune that? So auto-tune and Melodyne are the two tools that have to be in your arsenal. And if you don't use them, you know, literally not tuning something can make it sound like it's 10 years old.
You think so?
No, yeah, definitely.
Do you think there's a shift away though from perfection? That was my next following question actually. Maybe I'll read it to you. Speaking of processes, humans have reached for pitch correction in an effort to appear more polished, more perfect.
Yeah.
As AI is trained to be more human-like. What is your take on this?
So the perfection paradigm does not eliminate the imperfection paradigm, it just expands the arc of creativity. That's how I look at it. So did the drum machine eliminate drummers? No. But the drum machine created a whole lane of things that need to have perfect drum performance. But there's still a whole lane of things that have human fluctuation performance. So does auto-tune do something like that? Yes. There are some artists where you might think that they're not tuned at all, but if you really, really listen, where's the subtle fluctuation? And then there are some other artists that don't use it at all, and the ability for them to enter certain spaces is not there for them because that lack of tuning means, oh, so you live over in this space. You're not a pop artist, you know, you're a jazz artist. Because you're untuned. And it's a very, very subtle thing that I think is imprinted in the listener's mind. And the listener kind of can be influenced by it without even understanding that they're being influenced by it. So as a producer, you just have to know when that tool can or should be used and when it can or should not be used.
Thanks, that's a great answer. PC is full of great answers. So another question on tech. So tech's bequeathed us with new sounds. You know, most of us can come up with several new sonic designs and say we're sound designers.
Yeah.
Isn't that great? So most live concerts these days replicate what's on the album on stage, and with some kind of playback system enriching the band's performance. The mere mention of playback, though, to many they equate that with lip syncing. How would you explain what's really happening and the worthiness of this concept to these folks?
Wow, so music is no longer a solitary entertainment endeavor. Music is one piece of a multifaceted entertainment endeavor that most of us have access to. Like on my phone right now, I can entertain myself for like all day long with just my phone, as long as I can keep it charged, right? And so I'm looking at videos, I'm listening to audio, you know, I can look at plays, I can look at sports, I can look at all these things. So when I go to a performance these days, a music performance, the fact that there's an integration of visual things, of augmented music realities, it's just a reflection of the evolving nature of our technology and the incorporating and including that evolution into our recorded events and our performance events. Once again, intellectually it makes sense to me. Sometimes it's a little creepy emotionally, but the intellect in me says, you know, I'm a certain age, but if I'm 20, that's my norm.
Yeah.
And in 20 years, 40 years when I'm gone, that norm will have evolved to something else. And maybe even more inclusive. Potentially it could become less inclusive. That's for time to tell.
Question about recording studios, the large ones we're talking about.
Large format consoles,
The
yeah.
likelihood of these studios, especially when so many projects are being done at home, in the box, home studios. What do you think of the longevity of, or the relevance of these larger recording studios?
Large recording studios cater to a clientele that can afford them. So it's almost like a luxury item. You know, so if I work in my apartment and I make a record and the record goes out to the world and becomes hugely successful, and then I sign with a record company says, do it again, do I really want to work in my apartment? You know, when I can go to a studio and be catered to, and my water can be brought to me, and, you know, my assistant engineer can set up my microphone and I don't have to run and set it up myself. So it's kind of like a luxury commodity concept, and I don't think that large studios go away, but the ones that survive will become even more client-based, even more of a service to the client concept, much like a luxury hotel.
I like that. Final question before we take a little trip
Yeah,
around.
because it's getting ready to get loud in a second too.
Last one. 3 skills you think one should acquire, especially to your students, relevant to your students, to be employable, to stay employable in the near to distant future as we work alongside AI?
I would say multiple DAWs, relevance and consistency with multiple DAWs, and adaptability with different kinds of music and different evolutions of music, and an openness to building a network, an openness to bring other people into your world, to fill in your weak spots if you're going to create a company, or to filling your weak spots if you're even designing something, if you're mixing something, producing something, recording something. You know, surround yourself with great people. Most of the great people I know in life have a network of amazing people around them, which is what makes the entire concept work.
That's true. Thanks, PC.
Anytime.
Let's go for a walk.
Cool. So this is Shames. This is Studio One. This is the big flagship. The secondary studio, which is I think 32 input. Yeah, it's either 32 or 40. Is over here in the Arc. This is called Studio 2, the Arc. And let's see what's going on in here. There's a class.
You're asking about fast filter? No, just about this plugin now. It's the low end and high end. What is the name of, or is it inside the? This one. This is the UAD. UAD.